It was a foggy midnight, somewhere along Route 90, where the road stretched endlessly into the darkness, flanked by desolate fields and the occasional silhouette of a weathered gas station. I was in the middle of my regular run, hauling a load of machinery to Albuquerque. The monotony of the long haul had my eyelids growing heavy, and my only companion was the faint static from the CB radio. I was about to tune out entirely when a voice crackled through the silence. "Breaker? Breaker. Anyone on Route 90 tonight? Over." It sounded faint, almost hesitant. I grabbed the mic, my finger hovering over the button. Normally, I'd ignore chatter this late, but something about the voice was off. Not scared exactly, but weary, like the person on the other end had been talking into that void for hours. I pressed down. "This is Big Rig heading west. You good? Friend? Over." A long pause. Too long. Then, "Big Rig. You need to get off Route 90. Now." Over. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, colder than the November wind seeping through the cracked window. My first instinct was to laugh it off, chalking it up to some joker trying to mess with truckers, but there was no humor in the guy's voice. He sounded dead serious. I grabbed the mic care to explain why. Over. Static hissed on the line for a beat too long. Then the voice came back, quieter now, like he was trying not to be overheard. "Something's wrong out here, Big Rig. Been wrong for weeks. You're alone, aren't you? Keep driving. Don't stop for anything. And for God's sake, don't flash your brights." Over. The radio cut out, leaving me with nothing but the hum of my engine and the pulse of my own heartbeat. My eyes flicked to the side mirrors, but the highway behind me was empty, just the faint red glow of my trailer lights bouncing off the asphalt. That was weird, I muttered to myself, trying to shake it off. Probably some crackpot or a driver hopped up on too much caffeine and bad luck. Still, I reached over to turn up the volume on the radio. A few miles passed, the fog growing denser, pressing in on either side of the road. It clung to the ground like a living thing, twisting and curling as my high beams sliced through it. I kept my eyes glued ahead, scanning for deer or anything that might jump out. The voice on the CB lingered in my mind like an itch I couldn't scratch. Then I saw it. Just ahead, on the shoulder of the road, a figure was standing. I slammed on the brakes, tires screeching against the pavement as my rig shuddered to a stop. My heart pounded as I squinted into the fog, trying to make out the figure. It stood completely still, silhouetted in my headlights. Too still. Most hitchhikers would wave or at least shift nervously, but this one just stared, or at least I thought it was staring. Something about the way it held its head was wrong, like it didn't quite understand how to balance. The longer I looked, the less human it seemed. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Against my better judgment, I reached for the CB mic. "Anyone else on Route 90? I've got a situation." Over. Nothing but static. The figure suddenly moved, jerking forward like a marionette with tangled strings. My breath caught as it staggered into the road, stepping into the full beam of my headlights. It wasn't human. Its skin was pale and stretched too tight over its bones, like it had been vacuum sealed. Its limbs were elongated, the arms reaching almost to its knees. Its face was the worst part. It didn't have eyes, just dark, sunken hollows where they should have been. And its mouth, a thin, lipless slit, opened and closed soundlessly, like it was mimicking words it couldn't quite form. I threw the truck into reverse, my foot slamming on the pedal. But as the rig lurched backward, the thing started running. Not walking, running, and it was fast. The thing moved like a nightmare, its arms flailing unnaturally, its legs kicking high and wide, yet it covered ground like a predator. My rig groaned in protest as I threw it into gear, desperate to put distance between me and whatever the hell that was. I slammed the gas pedal, the engine roaring to life as the trailer swayed violently behind me. The thing didn't slow. If anything, it got faster. Its hollow face was locked on me, its mouth snapping open and shut, the soundless chatter burning into my brain like static. "Shit! Shit! Shit!" I hissed, gripping the wheel as I floored it. I dared a glance in the side mirror, expecting to see it falling behind. But it wasn't. It was keeping pace. keeping pace with a fully loaded 18-wheeler going 70 miles an hour. That's when I made the mistake. I flashed my brights. The moment the beams hit it, the thing stumbled. For a split second, I thought I'd blinded it, that maybe it couldn't handle the sudden light. Relief surged through me until I saw what was coming behind it. Shapes emerged from the fog, dozens of them. Some crawled on all fours, others stumbled upright, their grotesque bodies twisted in ways that defied anatomy. They poured out of the fields like shadows brought to life, their hollow faces glowing faintly in my rear view. God damn it, I spat, yanking the wheel. My rig fishtailed as I swerved into the opposite lane, narrowly missing a road sign. I reached for the CB mic, my hand shaking. Anyone out there? This is Big Rig on Route 90. There's things out here. Over. The radio exploded with static, deafening and sharp. Beneath it, a voice whispered faintly, almost drowned out by the chaos. Don't let them surround you. My chest tightened as the voice from the CB dissolved into static again. Surround me? They were already everywhere. My headlights barely pierced the fog, but I could see the things closing in, their grotesque forms swarming from all sides. The sound of their bodies smacking against the trailer, thuds and scraping claws, filled the cab. I kept the rig barreling forward, the engine screaming as I pushed it harder than I ever had. The fog thickened, swallowing the road, the mile markers, even the faint glow of my dashboard lights. I was driving blind, my hands locked on the wheel as I prayed the pavement would hold. Suddenly, a deafening bang rang out, and the entire cab jolted violently. I fought for control as the truck swerved, the steering wheel jerking in my hands. My heart sank when I saw it in the mirror. One of the rear tires had blown. The trailer began to drag, sparks showering the road behind me. And then I saw them. The things had stopped chasing and were just standing there, a wall of impossibly thin, twisted figures stretching across the road behind me. Their heads were tilted in unison, hollow faces fixed on me. They weren't running anymore. They were waiting. Don't stop. Don't stop. I whispered to myself, teeth clenched. I jammed the clutch, grinding through gears to keep the rig moving, but the blown tire was slowing me down. The trailer swayed precariously, the sparks catching in the fog like embers from hell. The whispering static from the CB returned, louder now, accompanied by faint words I could barely make out. Turn off your lights. My blood ran cold. Turn off my lights? The only thing keeping those things at bay was the faint barrier of my high beams. But the voice was insistent, growing louder, repeating the same phrase. Turn off your lights. Now. Like hell I will, I muttered, but deep down, I knew I didn't have much choice. The rig wouldn't last long like this, and the road was running out, both figuratively and literally. I reached out with trembling fingers, hovering over the light switch. Here goes nothing. I flicked them off. Darkness swallowed me whole. The fog disappeared, the road vanished, and I was plunged into a black void where nothing existed except the sound of my tires groaning against the asphalt and my own ragged breathing. I could still hear the creatures, those soft, scratching noises like claws on steel, accompanied by faint whispers that tickled the edges of my sanity. Then silence. Not the quiet of an empty road at night. This was absolute silence. No wind, no engine hum, no whispers. I opened my eyes, realizing I had clenched them shut, and the truck was still moving. The fog was gone, and so were they. The road stretched endlessly ahead, moonlight bathing the pavement in an eerie glow. I flicked the lights back on. The engine sputtered but roared to life. Behind me, the trailer was intact, the blown tire somehow repaired. It was as if nothing had happened. But it had. I could still feel the cold sweat on my back, the adrenaline in my veins. My CB radio was dead, the dials spinning uselessly. I gripped the wheel, forcing myself to breathe as I kept driving, too afraid to stop, too afraid to look back. Hours later, as the first hint of dawn crept over the horizon, I saw the glow of a truck stop ahead. My hands were shaking as I pulled into the lot, killed the engine, and stumbled out of the cab. A few other drivers were milling around, sipping coffee and chatting, their rigs idling nearby. I wanted to warn them, to tell them what I'd seen, but the words caught in my throat. One of them noticed me and called out, "Hey, you okay, man? You look like you've seen a ghost." I didn't answer. I just nodded, grabbed a cup of coffee from the counter, and sat in my truck until the sun fully rose. Only then did I find the courage to start driving again. But I'll never take Route 90 at night again. And if you're smart, neither will you.